Hi, welcome to the presentation today on making connections with inquiry. This was part of our professional development series, and this is Angie Creechy with a presentation for you today. So if we're looking at inquiry, we have to think about how users are using information today. Today, people mindlessly consume information and they share information. We don't even really take too much time to think about it. Our use of technology is really broken at this point in time. A blurb is read, and that blurb just gets spread. And often, nobody takes time to stop and wonder things like, where did this information come from? Is it even true? Just this weekend, I had to correct some information that was out there being spread around about prevention of important things like rape, where students or kids or adults were being told to dial 112 instead of 911 in a situation. That kind of stuff is not good. And it's being spread by educated people. When we're fed information, there is no reflecting, there's no questioning, no connecting, no investigating. And if we're not doing any of that, there is no learning either. Okay? We don't want to be fed information. We want to feed. We want our students to feed on information. Let's all be, honest with ourselves. Mainstream sources are things like Facebook, Instagram, Snapchat, Tumblr, Twitter, BuzzFeed, YouTube, that news crawler thingy. Ever since 9/11, that is how we get our news. And the almighty Google. I am a newspaper reader, but I even have to admit that when I read the paper, I really scan the headlines and may or may not dig into that information to know more. As educators, though, we have an opportunity to make a change and to make wonder a habit. We're here to build the skills to finding answers, and that skill is called information literacy. All right, so we all have projects and used to call them research projects. I want you to get rid of research out of your repertoire. I want you to, instead of doing research projects, I want you to do inquiry projects. To make connections, to make meaning, learning needs inquiry. And that's where you saw the TED Talk. That questions for kids are so amazing and can really hold the key to deep, meaningful learning. Not just knowledge, but learning. So what's the difference, okay? Research is teacher driven. You are told what to do, what to look up. You might have some choices, but the questions are put forth by the teacher. Where inquiry is student driven. That question is more of an essential question that's open and students have choices. Research is about fact-finding, where inquiry is about curiosity. In research, we're strictly finding answers. We are consuming information, where inquiry is about curiosity and coming up with questions on our own. Research, we're answering questions. Where does this animal live? What years was this president in office? Where inquiry is about asking questions. We might still need to go find some of those facts, but the core of the learning doesn't happen with just the facts. It happens with asking questions on a topic. When we're researching, we're just looking for stuff. And in inquiry, we're actually exploring. There might not be a concrete question, and so we need to dig into things a little deeper, a little wider. In research, students are passive about learning, where inquiry is designed to inspire new learning. Research is very linear. You go A, B, C, D, E, F, G. That's the process, where inquiry is cyclical. And I'll show you more of that in a later slide. Research is very predetermined. We have expected answers that the students are supposed to get to, where inquiry is process driven. Research involves totally lower level thinking. They are remembering, they are understanding, and they are applying. Where inquiry is about higher order thinking. So students are creating, they're evaluating, examining, analyzing, all those higher level learning processes. With research, we are just consuming, where inquiry is about problem solving. Questions are about problem solving, and they often lead to more questions, and as we know, more problems. And it's a real learning opportunity. In research, we share learning, but with inquiry, we're going to take that extra step and we're going to connect to learning. When students are the ones that come up with the questions, they're making a connection from the get-go to what they're learning and getting out of the process. Research, this is most important. It really focuses on the product, on the end, where inquiry is about focusing on the process, okay? The grading is on the process, not on the end product, or not just on the end product. The core of that higher level learning is going to be inquiry. All right, I had to come up with sort of a more tangible thing to think about, and I thought of inquiry as being like a calculator. A calculator is a tool that we use to solve a problem, and it has some basic process or guiding processes. We start with a question or goal, we gather the data, build a formula, hit the equal sign, and use estimation to figure out if that answer is correct. And just like in math, there is going to be more than one way to get to the answer. And what's great is those answers are often connected. The path to building answers is in the process. So you should have gotten a link that'll show you a model for inquiry by Barbara Stripling, okay? And this is one that I think that we should use for Louisville. So let's walk through an example of what it might look like. And here we see that cyclical process. We're going to start with an essential question that gets kids wondering and coming up with their own questions. They begin to investigate, and they may move on to constructing, but as they're investigating and constructing, they're often going to wonder a bit again. So you come back in the process and you begin to wonder. They might make a connection in that wondering and then come back up to begin investigating again, constructing, expressing. As they're working on expressing, they might find something else they need to build in to share the information they're trying or the idea that they're trying to get across to people, and that might head them back to investigating and wondering again. In the end, you do get to a point that you're reflecting, but the learning doesn't stop there, because often in that reflection, what happens? We end up having more questions. We make more wondering. We might lead to other connections. So what I like about this is that it is a cyclical process. The model, I think, works for Louisville Public Schools because we are K-12. It's essential that when we're working with something, we're speaking the same language. It works for all subjects and all grades. Even math, folks, even math, you can walk through this inquiry process for solving a problem. Students can go shallow or deep. There often may have to be prodded, and that's part of where us teachers come in as that guiding hand to kind of help them along. It is cyclical in nature and provides scaffolding or gives us opportunities where we can provide that scaffolding that's needed, and each step really can be differentiated and personalized for students. Personalized learning is built right in here, and these are all 21st century skills. It is where education needs to be. It's where education is headed. So I have some links for you to learn more. There's some concrete examples that are given for math, science, and social studies, and those are for different grade levels. Edutopia probably has some of the best resources that I have come across. Another chart or another thing that I came across was called an eye chart from ReadWriteThink.org, and that had a nice process that you could go through and works with multiple ages. I've also shared a file with you from Rhonda Sparks. I'm one of those people that likes to, she has these, uses these projects, rubrics with her projects in Genius Hour, and I have to have something to look at myself. So these were really a great guide and inspiration for me. If you're out there just searching, you're going to want to look for inquiry, project-based learning, personalized learning, passion projects. There's whole websites that are dedicated to these things, and so resources are out there for you. How the Learning Commons can support your classroom. Well, we have books and periodicals and video resources. Learn 360 has a lot of things. There's, of course, a lot of tools out there that you can use. I'm happy to work with you on. We have a host of online databases through Nebraska Access. And the resources out there, I'll talk about those some more in just a bit here. There are also, Nebraska Access has links to many digital resources like primary source documents, photos, educational websites for students. I have a lot of those. I also can customize tools for students. I am working with fourth grade on their author project and created a Symbaloo to make finding some valid resources a bit easier for them. I'm also available for co-teaching project opportunities and can come in with classes to show students how to use databases, talk about questioning, citation, whatever you need. Ask a librarian. You can send me a question at any time. Students can send me a question at any time, and I'm happy to help because we are better together. And when I work with you on projects, I learn more too about how I can help students and help teachers achieve their goals in the classroom. So database tools that we do have right now are all free through Nebraska Access. Masterfile has popular magazines. It's more of a 6th through 12th grade grouping. The Biography Reference Center has 450,000 profiles. This is a great tool that can be used when students are doing inquiry projects like we're using it on the author project. It can be used in history. It could be used in math, in science. There are a lot of historical and current people that are out there. Primary Search is a tool that has articles and images. It is for grade levels 1 through 12. The Funk and Wagnalls New Encyclopedia is out there. I see that as more of a late elementary, middle school tool. Points of View Reference Center has critical essays on current events that can be used in a variety of areas. And I would like to take a look at, for some of the lower grades, a tool called Pebble Go as a database product. And if you're interested in a database product that we purchase, I'm interested in that too. Here's the thing though, we need to make sure that we're using what we buy. And so I would like to get started with Nebraska Access and then build resources from there. Working together, I can help you build essential questions that allow student exploration, compile resources that spark curiosity, more than just heading out to Google. Databases offer verified information where Google has an agenda. Most of the free resources out there, I teach students that it has an agenda. And having to constantly always be evaluating resources can be difficult. And we need to do it, but sometimes you need some things that you can just depend on. I can work with you to help build projects that get students asking questions, develop new skills, challenge students and inspire new learning. Using the same language and process, we can work together to get students creating, evaluating, and analyzing. Get students to be problem solvers. And this is a way for us to offer personalized learning and make connections with students. Inquiry is where this learning happens. We work too hard, and this slide is really talking about how inquiry, we tap into students' natural curiosity, okay? Let them ask the questions. Let them answer the questions. And if we start using a process like this with their young and build, the questions are really the answer to deeper, better, stronger learning. There's another video I'd like you to watch once this is finished up. Please contact me at any time with any questions or more information that you want. Watch the follow-up video. You'll really enjoy seeing inquiry in action. Thanks for your time today and have a wonderful day.